Hello, and welcome back to the Going Off Track podcast. I'm Catherine, and welcome to episode 2 of the Spring Break Sprint. That time, an F1 driver almost bankrupted an entire F1 team because his contract was a little silly. Now, in case you missed it and you are not coming in on the first episode of this series, which is linked up above, long story short, I am diving into old F1 lore from before I became a fan in 2021 to teach myself a couple things, and B, to educate other fellow Drive to Survive era F1 fans about the sport. In yesterday's episode, I talked about the circuits where F1 drivers clinched their championships at, and still can't wrap my head around the fact that, well, spoiler alerts, just go watch that episode in case you missed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss a video in the series and all season long, so I can continue to inflict my motorsport opinions on the greater population. And if you are listening to this on your preferred podcast platform, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Now, what did Kimi Raikkonen do? Now, Kimi Raikkonen is iconic for a lot of reasons, whether it's for being the 2007 world champion, for his very interesting responses when he's in press conferences or just speaking to media in general, very funny old in-car radio messages during race, or that time that he crashed out of Monaco and pieced out onto his yacht to watch the rest of the race back in 2006. But one of the most entertaining bits of Kimi Raikkonen lore is the fact that he almost bankrupted an F1 team with one of the most absurd contract bonus structures in history. So let's talk about a little team called Lotus. They were supposed to be bad in 2012. Spoiler alert, they weren't. Lotus was at the time the marketing name for Renault, which we now know as Alpine, and they basically hopped back and forth with names for a little bit. Lotus was also used for a couple of other teams at the time, so it was very, very difficult to keep track of. But the Lotus that we're talking about in this case was at one point Renault. You can learn more about the genealogy of Alpine, which is linked above as part of our genealogy series. But originally they started out as Tolman, became Benetton, became Renault, became Lotus, became Renault again, and now are Alpine. And Renault is basically out of Formula One for good because they don't provide engines anymore because their engines were bad. Awkward. So Kimi Raikkonen came back to Formula One after a hiatus that started in 2009. Ended up coming back on the grid in 2012. And as part of that contract, Lotus committed to paying him 50,000 euros for every championship point he scored. In 2011, which was the Sebastian Vettel Red Bull dominance era, Renault finished a distant 5th in the championship with 73 points. Mercedes was 4th with 165. So that's how far apart that they were. It's kind of like Williams last season in 2025 was in no man's land in P5 in the championship. So Kimi rocks up. We go through the 2012 season, and Lotus ends up finishing 4th in the championship, so up 1, but with 303 points, so that's a lot more points. And Kimi Raikkonen ended up 3rd in the driver's standings behind Sebastian Vettel, who had won that year, and forever rookie Fernando Alonso. Now, between 2011 and 2012, the point structure did not change. So going from 73 points to 303 points actually is significant in the grand scheme of things, because usually you can't really compare and contrast season to season, because sometimes, one year you get more points for finishing there than you did, 5 years before. But there were no changes between 2011 and 2012. So Kimi scored 207 of those 303 points. And if you multiply 207 by 50,000 euros, you get 10.35 million euros. And then in 2013, he would go on to score another 183 points. And that left him with a bonus of 19.5 million, all of which Lotus could not afford to pay because the team was not very financially stable, which if you know about the fact that Alpine has a significant consortium of celebrity backers now, that's I think 25% of their overall ownership, in the grand scheme of thing, that makes sense. And also Formula One is very expensive. There was a reason why when Mercedes got back into the sport in 2010 that they were able to, is because they were able to afford it. And in the era prior to the cost cap, there were teams that could just not be as competitive as a Mercedes, a Red Bull, a McLaren, because they were spending so much money. And we don't have the cost cap is another beast, but we're not going to worry about that. So Kimi did not get his 19.5 million euros, which is unfortunate for Kimi, but he did end up settling with Lotus, did not get nearly what he was owed. And basically every team ever learned not to gamble on such a significant bonus structure when there's a risk of, having no money left. I did hear a rumor that Nico Hulkenberg's current Audi contract might have a similar type of bonus structure, but I don't necessarily know if that's true or not. It would be really kind of hilarious if it was. But that is that one time that Kimi Raikkonen almost bankrupted an F1 team by being too good at driving an F1 car. Awkward. That was part 2 of our spring break sprint. Up next tomorrow is going to be episode 3, where we're going to talk about the 3 drivers who won the very first time they sat their butt in an F1 car. And one winner is kind of a winner on technicality. Like, there's definitely an asterisk there if you look at the record book. But we will talk about that tomorrow. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a video. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for going off track with me.